when you're your own boss, when there's nobody else telling you to not do something, you have to have that person who you trust and who is going to come with love and be like, hey, that's not helping. Because sometimes, like you said, we are our own worst enemies. We have to protect ourselves from ourselves.
Introducing the Vixen Voice, a podcast for ambitious women entrepreneurs ready to move into their feminine essence, live their truth, and unlock their full potential. I'm your host, April Roberts, and each week I'll be interviewing inspiring women who decided to take a leap of faith to pursue their dream. Women who believe that they were born for something bigger. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Vixen Voice. I'm so excited today because I have two friends who are also part of the Vixen Mastermind with me today, and we are talking to you about all things mastermind. Yes, we will talk about the Vixen Mastermind because we have a fun retreat coming up in Belize, and we do have 4 seats available that we're about to open up. So if you'd like to join us, let me know ASAP. They might be full by the time you hear this, but we're not just going to talk about the Vixen Mastermind. What I'd really like us to talk about today is the value of masterminds and retreats and kind of breaking away from the everyday and what the magic that happens there with the group, being away with the curriculum, and really the pros and cons, because maybe you're listening and you keep saying, gosh, I keep hearing about masterminds. What the heck are these things? So obviously we would love to have you join us, but there are tons of masterminds out there and there's a great fit for you. So today we're going to dig in. We have Jamie Duggan, a holistic wellness coach. She is not a stranger if you are an avid listener of the Vixen Voice. And we have Bex Wood, who is my every season guest, also not a stranger if you listen to the Vixen Voice. And Bex is the founder and chief photographer at Bexwood Luxe Photography. So welcome, ladies. So excited to have you. Before we dig in, I just want to share that I have my photo shoot coming up with Bex. So we might record some of that and share it with you guys, because that would be kind of fun behind the scenes. And then I will talk about that amazing experience and how it's luxurious. And I wanted to give a shout out to Jamie, because Jamie, bless her heart, coaches me all the time as my friend on my fitness and wellness regime. And I know I need to sign up for coaching with her, and I just do not have the bandwidth right now. And she has been very patient with me. But June 14th is my light at the end of the tunnel date. So we will chat then. But Jamie's helped me so much. And I did want to share that I am in her Facebook group. So if you're not joined it, and Bex has a Facebook group as well, that'll be in our show notes and delivered to your inbox. So join that. But I did sign up for her 15. Give us the correct title, Jamie, so I don't blow it. Fit in 15 program. And I'm very picky about exercises because I've had many trainers, and I literally had a trainer that came every morning at 5 a.m. and I was in great shape, but I was like, hey, I feel my butt's getting a little big. And his response was, there is no bit too big. So you get my point that your trainer is not always aligned with your goals, right? And I find this a lot, no offense, but when I have male trainers, I find this a lot because they just don't understand the feminine body as well. You know, they can theoretically, but not being a woman, in my experience, and I've had male and female, I really like working with a female trainer. And so I just want to give a shout out because I love the exercises. They were obviously geared toward women. I am not in great shape, and I could do the full 15 minutes. And it also like really helped reverse my sitting all day that day because I had a lot of Zoom calls. So anyway, just, I think, it's like $47, Jamie, or something like that. Like, it's a no-brainer. It's the same cost as if you ordered Uber Eats. So don't order Uber Eats and get the Fit in 15. So that's my plug. Anyway, I only plug things I believe in. So let's dive in, ladies. Again, Jamie, you and I are in 3 masterminds together, one of them being the Vixen Mastermind. So, there are all kinds of masterminds for all things. And Bex, you've been with me in the Vixen Mastermind now your 2nd year, right? You were one of our founding members last year.
Yeah.
So we all have a lot of experience. I've personally been going to masterminds since 2012. I am a huge fan. I like to say they help me keep my sanity because I get to go there and see my people. And so I'd love to hear from y'all. What, if you were mentoring someone or if you had a best friend in a similar situation, like, why would you recommend that they go to a mastermind? What do you find is the greatest benefit?
I love that it's a safe space for community. Everyone is working on getting on the same, at least plane level. And so that just makes it a really safe atmosphere to share ideas, to share concepts, where you're not worried about, someone shooting you down. You're only going to be encouraged in a safe way. That's what I love. And a lot of expertise in the room.
I love the ability to leverage each other's expertise and knowledge and really be, like what Beck said, the safe space, but also to be in a room with people who understand, even though we can be in completely different industries, the masterminds, at least that we're in, 2 of the 3 are primarily entrepreneurs. And so it's just, those are experiences in life that really only entrepreneurs understand, and having that support and community, because I know people who are entrepreneurs and are going it alone and they're constantly like, hey, Jamie, what do you think about this? Or I need that, or I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, you need to be in a mastermind. And they hesitate because they don't want to invest. But what they don't understand is the cost that they are accruing by not investing.
Yeah.
And time.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. And also, being an entrepreneur can be a lonely endeavor. I mean, even when I had my financial firm, because we operated it a certain way, I remember my chief of staff and one of my other financial advisors was female. And I was like, your significant other is not going to understand what our day is, because most people don't go that hard all day. Most people aren't in front of clients all day. Like, that's a whole different experience than sitting behind a desk or on a computer, right? And I'm not saying one or the other is better or worse or more draining. It's just that, like you said, people just don't get it because they're not in the shoes. And so for me to be around other and I've never been in an all women's mastermind until the Vixen Mastermind. I created it because I couldn't find one, right? And I love when we get together because it's just, like you said, such a safe space. And our rule is no apologizing in the Vixen Mastermind. So put away that oh, I'm sorry, or whatever. Sometimes we talk over each other. Sometimes we cry. Sometimes we do it. There is no apologizing. This is your space to be. And these are the people who are going to love you no matter what. And so I love how you talked about leveraging each other's expertise, Jamie, because as you'll know, we're about to launch the Vixen Collective, which is a membership, and a lot of things will shift to the membership. And step 1 I have, because there's content you go through, right? And then we also meet twice a week live, is that step 1 is there's other parts, but it's form your advisory committee. So with the membership, it's going to be a little bit larger than the masterminds, right? The first tier, because I want to make it very accessible to more women. And so for as little as $150 a month, you can join this, whereas you're paying like $24,000 for masterminds, right? So it's a huge game changer, but you're not going to have that intimate environment. So my first step is find 3 to 4 women in this group that's your advisory board. And each step you're going to meet with them and you're going to share your ideas, because that's what we do at the mastermind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. I'm excited.
I love that.
I know. Bex already got a sneak peek.
It reminds me of the when we do the the hot seats, and then you have your accountability partner.
Yeah, I love it. So hot seats is true masterminding. For those of you out there, we call it hot seats because we have a little cheeky fun with it, but it's basically where you're bringing a problem and the group in a structured manner asks you questions really to help lead you to the answer, because most of us know what to do. We just don't take the time and the quiet space to do it. We don't have a format to think through things, right? We don't have that format set. So that's a true mastermind or hot seat. And most things calling themselves a mastermind don't actually do that step. So that's really interesting to me. So I'm glad you brought that up, Bex.
I've been in lots of masterminds also, and I have never done a hot seat before our mastermind.
Totally.
Like I've been in dozens.
And I love it.
And Bex, it was so rewarding.
Oh, good. I'm going to call you out on this. And Jamie, I'm curious your feedback. So one thing I noticed when I started, working full-time and coaching female entrepreneurs and left my company full-time was a lot of times they didn't know what to do because of confusion, because they were asking too many people for their opinion. And Bex, sometimes you'll post things and I'll message you like, hey, be careful how many opinions you're taking in, right? And Brene Brown says, not everyone deserves to hear your story. And I just was reading advice from a woman who's a billionaire. And she said, when you're working on something, don't tell people what you're working on because their energy comes in, right? Which was I was coached by with my energy coach. So I feel this is often a mistake because we want to get validation, right? There's a lot of imposter syndrome, especially for us, like Gen Xers, upper millennial women in business. And we want that validation, but sometimes we're getting too much validation. So, Jamie, I'm curious if you've ever find yourself where maybe you're getting too much feedback and it's actually the opposite of helpful.
Oh, absolutely. I was just having this conversation the other day with somebody talking about having too much feedback, but also like being really careful with where you allow feedback in, because she wanted to create she wanted to get a group going together here in Southern California. And I was like, yeah, that's great. However, there's a lot of people that will be happy to give you advice. However, you're not going to be wanting to trade places with them. So you need to be really careful with where you get that advice from. And there is so much information. We live in the world of unlimited information that it can get really cloudy and really hard to know what you should actually do. Not, it's like you get so many opinions. You should do this, you should do that. And the next thing, like if you're like me and you're creative and you want to get things started, it's like all of a sudden you have 7 different projects you're working on, none of which you're making progress on.
Well, and there are different types of entrepreneurs, and all 3 of us tend to be more of the visionary entrepreneur, where for all 3 of us, like ideas are not a problem. Like we can come up with ideas every minute of the day. So yeah, Jamie's correct. And that's why, with our mastermind, I structured it the way I did because these are the tools I created to protect myself from myself, right? So there's no judgment. It's just like, hey, I get it, but like having all these ideas does not simplify and solidify your business so that you can scale. So I like a scalable business is a simple, solid business. And then when you get there, awesome, we have perfected this. Now we're going to add to it, right? Like, how do we scale that? And so I love that. And so you do want to ask, if you're considering a mastermind, like, hey, how did you create your mastermind? What's the purpose? Who is this for? What am I going to get out of it? And I know one other thing I wanted to share. I'm doing a lot of market research, which is just interviewing female entrepreneurs. Because like I said, we want to open up the collective to a large audience. So I want to see what they're really struggling with and where they would like value. And one thing I got yesterday was I would need a guarantee. And I talked to another woman who unfortunately paid $32,500 for a mastermind. And it was almost like a bait and switch. She got in and she joined, just like I've joined masterminds because I want to be close to the person leading it. Well, the people that were supposed to be in there didn't show, like they, separated their partnership or something. And so she's stuck paying for this mastermind that isn't giving her what she wanted. And I mean, that's why for me, it's always like, hey, you want your money back? I'll give you your money back. Because the thing is, if you're not happy, you're not adding to the safe space that we're creating. So I would not be shy to ask, like, hey, what's your guarantee? What's your trial period? Like, what's the best way for me to know if this is a fit for me or not? Right. So I'm curious for y'all. I know, Bex, you've been in a lot of things, and I know you've done some things you loved and some things you didn't love. Like, what kind of steps have y'all taken to pick what's right for you? And by the way, I want to point out, I believe this changes over time. So, like, I'm not continuing a mastermind that Jamie and I are in because I found another one that more specifically serves my needs right now, not through any problem, but just right now at this place in my business, it's not super valuable to me. So I might return. Right. So, like, do you think about that? Like, what do I need now? Or do you think about who do I want to be in the room with? Like, what do y'all think about when you're deciding what you're going to invest in?
Well, I think for me, two of the big factors are what has the person who's leading it done personally?
Yep.
Because just like we talked about, like anybody can kind of, say that they've done something or offer advice, but not actually have proven results. But then also, and you helped me with this actually, like really considering what the other people in the mastermind are in, like what their goals are and kind of where they're at in their business, because you want to make sure that you're, like one of the masterminds that you and I are in together, there's like a financial requirement to join, right? And at first I was like, oh, that's kind of like how pretentious, but I didn't understand at the moment that it was there to protect us so that you're actually networking and collaborating with people who are doing the do, not just wanting to fit in with the cool kids.
Yeah, and I love that point because we're structuring the new collective for tiered revenue because, I believe when I was a financial advisor and people would be like, well, Warren Buffett says, well, last time I checked, Warren Buffett has a few $1 billion. Is that what you have? Because if Warren Buffett lost half his money, I think he's going to be okay. If you lose half your money, maybe not the case, right? And so I've always believed be careful where you get your advice. And part of that was from being a fiduciary financial advisor because I had to give customized advice. But I bring that same mindset into coaching and consulting, right? Like, I want to make sure the group is beneficial to you. And I think people that are good at what they do care about that. So, like, I'm applying for a mastermind with Danielle Canty that used to do Boss Babe. And, I'm in another group with her. And so I DM'd and I couldn't believe she like voice messaged me back. Like, she's quasi famous and I get a voice message back and she was like, hey, just want to know where you are in your business. Here's why. And so I was like, hey, it's my first year, but I've run into, she's like, oh, perfect. I don't want people to come in because I go deep into business stuff. And if someone's brand new, they're going to be overwhelmed and not get value. And she's like, it's real. In fact, I'm going to send you a survey and see what you're struggling with. So this is customized to you. And I was like, cool. And I told my friend, I was like, Emma, we're in. Like, this is awesome. Like, we're going to do this, right? But like, this is someone who's quasi famous and anybody would sign up and pay. But she's like, I want the right group and I want to get value. And I think if you're not getting that from any group you're trying to join, if it's too easy to join and they don't ask questions, I actually think you should be suspicious. So what other thoughts do you have to share? Like, again, if you were doing, if you were looking again, or what kind of benefits do you get? I like the idea of how we go away for the retreats because you escape from your life for a little bit. Do you all find that beneficial, or do you find it stressful because you have to organize everything to be there?
I love it. I find it hugely beneficial. There is a little bit of planning, but it's a really great business trip. Like, it's like the best kind of business trip.
Yeah.
I just treat it like another business trip to go on. And, so it takes that kind of priority with planning. And, and then once I'm there, I can just let go and dive fully into my business brain, which is not it's not a suit that I put on all the time. or that I enjoy to put on. So, yeah, I can just dive deeper. And being in that environment, everything is conducive to diving deeper and doing better with planning your business. So I really appreciate that.
if like moving forward, I definitely know because I've been in a few, but like it's the, is there in person? Because I know there's some masterminds or groups that claim to be masterminds and they're not meeting in person. And as much as I love Zoom and I'm so grateful for all the face-to-face, like there is nothing like actually being in person, being in the room with people. So making sure that you're actually going to be in a physical space, whether that be the retreat or a conference style where it's a weekend away. And then also like the frequency of when you're going to see those people on Zoom, when you're going to have that contact, because I do think that when there's too much time in between, you get lost. And it's like, oh yeah, oh wait, I forgot. Especially when you're getting started, if you don't have connections in that group, you're going to feel really alone and you're going to be paying money to just maybe see them once a month or every other month or whatever. So
yeah, figure stuff out.
Like Zoom is great and it serves a purpose and it solves a lot of problems. But like, yeah, there's nothing like being in person and the progress that you can make when you've got that environment around you. And I also love that it's structured out. So it's like you really could just go on autopilot for all other things and just create some beautiful business stuff. So
yeah, I love it.
Great.
So Bex, you've been in other masterminds and you've been in the Vixen Mastermind for over a year now. So what difference do you feel it's made in your personal life or your business life?
Oh my gosh, all the difference. But the connection really is the biggest thing, having the connection to people who get it. People who really truly get it. They're in similar walks of life, similar, not types of business, but similar business mindset, I guess. We have the same business mindset and we all want to grow our business. It's all very important to us. We all also have, families and other things to commit to. And so it's just everyone in the room also gets it. So it's like, you can finally not complain, but like, just kind of feel frustrated about something to someone. And someone is going to say, oh, nice problem to have, wish I could do that, but in a sarcastic way. That's how I often get, feedback from people who don't get it. when I have something to be like, oh man.
It's the empathetic witness. It's the empathetic witness who understands. Who is it that talks about the empathetic witness? Oh, I'm not coming up with it, but they talk about like having somebody who understands, who's been there and can like, okay, I get it. Because
because I think for me, when I'm not in it, when it's not in my situation, I can see the issues so clearly for other people. It's like, hey, you're avoiding this. It's plain as day, but I can't see it when I'm doing it. And so it helps for people who know better to be in the same room, to be like, why aren't you setting this goal? It really helps. It's huge. They say that you surround yourself with people that you want to either be more like or, grow with and not hold you down. And so it's great to be in a room like that where I feel like, okay, we're all running the same race.
I agree. It cracks me up because, I try to be quiet about my stuff, but Megan, who's in the mastermind, she goes, I joined your mastermind over another one because I want to drive a Porsche like yours one day and I want to travel like you do. So she was like, this person is a single woman doing this. Obviously, she's doing something right. And, these are the things, there are other people online showing all this stuff and I don't show all that stuff. It feels weird to me, but it is I am living the life of my dreams and that's what I'm hoping to coach people to do. So I do think it's important that that person walks in the shoes of what you want to do, right? Whatever that is. So real quickly, Jamie, you have only been to one retreat with us. So you just started. So how do you feel? Because, people, how do you feel it impacted your life and your business so far?
It's really helped me to focus on the next step, not the big step, but really, really breaking down the, nitty gritty. And you definitely helped me with cutting the BS out of my schedule because I want to do a million things all at one time, and you call me out on it. And so I really appreciate that, because it is, when you're your own boss, when there's nobody else telling you to not do something, you have to have that person who you trust and who is going to come with love and be like, hey, that's not helping. Because sometimes, like you said, we are our own worst enemies. We have to protect ourselves from ourselves. So, yeah.
And again, that comes from me having to learn that to protect myself, because I'm the same as you. And it's interesting, like, you have to understand how you're made up. My print is an 8-7. So an 8 is a very driven, ambitious, self-directed person. 7 wants to have fun and enjoy life. So like, I want to be efficient in business, so then I can go run to Honduras or run to Italy for a month. Like, this is like why I've become so good at like time management and energy and confidence, because I'm like, we got to knock this stuff out, because there's like a freaking life to live, right? So, Bex, what's your final words? And then I know we have to wrap up. Thank you so much. So, Bex and Jamie, final thoughts. Bex, I knew you had something on your mind.
Yeah, there's just so many things that I haven't said that I want to say, but like so many of things that could be my favorite, like project planning. That was huge for me, being able to like actually plan out my big projects, my big ideas, and make them granular so I could actually get them done. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. It's a great vibe. The vibe check is always my first thing about a new coach or a new program. And this definitely, Vixen has an amazing vibe. And in fact, has helped me improve my own vibe. That's my takeaway, is that I loved my vibe before I met you, April, and Jamie, and everyone in Vixen. But I love it even more now. And I feel like I'm so much more myself in my business than I was before I started. And that was a big goal for me. And so being able to say that is huge for me. It's really huge for me. So those are we need more time.
Nope. That's why we do what we do, so you can enjoy your life and be who you are.
I just am so thinking about how fantastic it is that you and I met at a mastermind, found out that we were in another one together, and now I'm in yours with you. Like, and now we have this awesome friendship that like spans so much further. Like, that's the beauty of like the groups, is because entrepreneurship can be so lonely. You're not out there making friends with coworkers. Yeah. Like, you're sitting behind your computer at home by yourself, And so this is where you make your friends. And since joining masterminds, my friend group has like up-leveled tenfold. Mm-hmm. It's just,
which is,
it's
huge to your life. So, but that's the importance of the safe space too, right? Because I remember when I was first getting trained in masterminds and I was going to do someone else's, and she was like, oh, all my clients are my friends. And that freaked me out, because in my financial business, I tried to keep boundaries, because like I was on TV and people knew me, and like I had to kind of, preserve my energy. But now all my clients are my friends, because we've created this environment where, like, Jamie the other week, she goes, I need to talk to my friend, not my coach. I'm like, cool. And as you'll know, I'm like, friend stuff, you text me, coaching stuff, you Slack me, right? Like, because I need the boundary too, because, and so, because you want to have the friendship and you want to have the professional. And I just think it's a cool world we live in, where you can have both with the same person, but it's because we all get it, and we can say, hey, look, I need a clear line. Here's where we're friends. Here's where I need coaching. And I just think that's super cool. So I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I did too. When I left my 9-to-5 job, I never thought I would miss having an office around me, but I did after a while. So joining the masterminds gave me that sense of community too.
Love it. All right. Well, I know Jamie has to go. Super important kids waiting on her to pick them up for the last day of school. This is why we design our business around our life. So thank you for your time today. Yes. And everyone, how can you go forward in love? Find that group that's right for you, so you're not alone. Find a group where you can really love the people you're in the room with. We might have a moment where we don't like each other, but we love each other for sure. So let's enjoy that. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.